There is a word spoken in the ancient tongue of Jesus that was never meant to stay hidden, a declaration so powerful that when it left his lips, reality itself shifted around it. Most people spend their entire lives praying for provision, working harder, worrying more, never knowing that Jesus left behind a living key. Not a prayer, not a ritual, not a doctrine written in the margins of old books. A declaration spoken in Aramaic, the language his voice actually vibrated in. This is not theology. This is not religion, as you have been taught to perform it. This is something far older and far more precise than anything spoken from a pulpit. The Aramaic word you are about to encounter is the first of 7 secret declarations, each one targeting a different dimension of human life. And this first one, this foundational frequency, was spoken directly over the subject of provision, over food, over abundance, over the ancient human fear that there will never be enough. Jesus did not merely teach about provision. He declared himself to be the very living source of it, using a word that carries a vibrational weight no English translation has ever fully captured. Today, that word comes to you for the first time, as it was always meant to be received, and if you stay until the end, your relationship with lack will never be the same. When the Gospels record Jesus declaring, "I am the bread of life," most readers receive it in English, a language that did not exist when those words were first spoken. What most people never realize is that the original sound, the original vibration, carried something that translation alone cannot preserve. Jesus spoke Aramaic, a Semitic language thousands of years old, rich with layered meanings that single English words cannot hold. The word for bread in Aramaic is not simply food. It is not a metaphor pulled from common speech. The Aramaic word Lahma, from which the full declaration Ena, na Lahma, dake is drawn, carries within it an ancient root, meaning that extends far beyond physical nourishment. It speaks of the substance of life itself. It speaks of what is essential, what sustains, what cannot be removed without everything collapsing. When Jesus stood before the crowds who had just witnessed bread multiply in the wilderness, 5 loaves feeding thousands, he was not explaining a miracle. He was revealing an identity. He was declaring, in the ancient tongue of his people, that he was the very principle of provision made flesh. That provision was not something outside of him. It was not something that came and went, depending on circumstance. It was what he was. In the Aramaic worldview, a declaration of identity is not a metaphor. It is a statement of reality. And when Jesus spoke Anana Lamadake, "I am the bread of life," he was anchoring that identity, not just into himself, but into the consciousness of every person who would ever receive those words. Because in the Aramaic tradition, what is declared with authority enters the spirit of the one who receives it. This is not mysticism for its own sake. This is the precise mechanism by which ancient spiritual transmission worked. And it was the language Jesus chose deliberately, precisely, and with full intention. What he declared over provision, he declared over you. What Lahma really means. The Aramaic root of Lahma opens into a world that modern Bible readers rarely enter. In ancient Semitic languages, words are built from 3-letter roots, and those roots carry meanings that fan out in multiple directions simultaneously. The root of Lama Lamid, Mem, Aleph, does not simply mean bread or food. It carries the meaning of to join, to unite, to bring together what is separated. This is extraordinary when you understand what Jesus was doing in John chapter 6. He was not simply offering a food metaphor. He was declaring that he was the force of divine reunion, the principle that joins. What has been broken, that restores what has been scattered, that brings together what circumstance has pulled apart. Provision, in this ancient framework, is not merely material. It is the restoration of what belongs to you, but has been separated from you. When Jesus spoke, Eina ana lamadik, he was saying something that goes far deeper than "I will feed you," was Sion. I am the living force that reunites you with everything that was meant to be yours. Your abundance, your wholeness, your unbroken connection to the divine supply that never runs dry. This is why the declaration carries such extraordinary weight. This is why those who have learned to speak it not merely as a prayer, but as an alignment of consciousness, have reported experiencing shifts in their material reality that they could not explain through ordinary means. The ancient understanding of Lahma as the principle of sacred joining gives this word a reach that extends into every area of life where separation has occurred. Every place where lack has settled in, every dimension where fear has convinced you that the supply has ended. The word of Jesus disagrees, and in the chapters ahead, you will learn exactly how to carry that disagreement into the specific areas of your own life. The words of Jesus in Aramaic open different pathways back to divine alignment. Each one represents a frequency capable of restoring something fragmented in human consciousness. Understanding these frequencies is the first step. But mastering their vibration in your daily life is where the true miracle happens. Aramaic words carry a sound dimension that is deeply vibrational, and some of these pronunciations may reach your ear slightly, differently, depending on how they are rendered. To help you connect with the correct pronunciation and practice these declarations with confidence, I created sacred study guides designed specifically for that purpose. The link is pinned in the comments, and your deeper practice begins there. The frequency that was hidden for centuries. The full Aramaic declaration of Jesus, Ananai Elham, Adekaha Ayeyeye, was not accessible to ordinary believers. The Peshitta, the ancient Aramaic manuscript of the New Testament, was preserved primarily within Eastern Christian traditions. Syriacus and Chaldean communities that maintained the original tongue as a living liturgical language long after the Western Church had shifted entirely to Latin and then to Greek. What was lost in those translations was not the meaning alone. What was lost was the sound. The breath pattern, the way the syllables of Anana Nalama Dake move through the throat and chest when spoken with full intention. Ancient teachers within the Aramaic Christian tradition understood that spoken declarations were not merely communicative. They were generative. They did not simply describe reality. They participated in shaping it. The idea that sound carries vibrational authority is not new. It predates science as we know it, and sits at the heart of every major ancient spiritual tradition on earth. But in the teaching of Jesus, this principle was not abstract. It was personal. It was embodied. When Jesus declared Eina Lama Dake, he was not merely identifying himself as the bread of life. He was releasing a vibrational template, a pattern of provision that anyone who spoke those words in alignment could enter into. The scholars who preserved the Peshitta understood this, which is why certain monasteries maintained the practice of speaking the Aramaic declarations aloud during specific hours, not simply as worship, but as a practice of spiritual alignment. This teaching was not spread widely. It was considered too precise, too powerful, too likely to be misused by those who had not been prepared to receive it. But today, through this series, these 7 declarations return, beginning with the one that addresses the most fundamental human need, the need that Jesus addressed first, the need that, when resolved, makes every other area of life possible. If this teaching is stirring a deep resonance in your heart, it is a sign that your soul is ready to return to its original blueprint. To support you in this transition, my guides explain the layers of meaning behind the first sacred words, offering you a path to clear the interference of the world. The link to access these tools is waiting for you in the pinned comment. The 3 gates of provision. Your daily protocol, the declaration of Jesus, Ananai Lahma, Dekahaha, Ye, was never designed to remain only on the pages of Scripture it was spoken. It was breathed. It was activated through the living voice of one who understood the spiritual law behind its syllables, and it can be activated through yours. The ancient practice of working with this declaration operates through what teachers within the Aramaic tradition called the 3 gates of provision, 3 specific moments in the daily experience of a human being, where the vibration of an Nalama Deke is most receptive to entering and reshaping the field of consciousness. Gate 1. The gate of decision. This is the moment when you face a choice that carries financial or material weight, a business decision, an investment, a question of how to direct your resources, or the recognition of an opportunity whose timing you cannot fully read. Before entering any such decision, the instruction is clear. Become still, breathe slowly, and speak the declaration aloud 3 times, Ananalama Dake. Not as a request, as an alignment. You are not asking for provision. You are declaring its source and placing yourself consciously within its flow. Ancient teachers noted that decisions made from this state of alignment carried a different quality, a clarity that did not arise from analysis alone, but from something older and more precise. This is the moment of waking, those first minutes of consciousness before the mind fills with the noise of the day. In this liminal state, the spirit is most open. The filters of logic have not yet closed. What can enter? Enters deeply. Speak in ana lama dake slowly, with intention, allowing each syllable to settle into your body before moving to the next. This practice, maintained for 7 consecutive days, was said by ancient practitioners to open what they called the inner eye of provision, an intuitive awareness of where abundance is moving in your life and how to position yourself within it. This is not metaphor. Practitioners who maintained this gate reported receiving specific impressions, a name to contact, a direction to pursue, a resource previously overlooked that led directly to material shifts they had not engineered through effort alone. The third gate within the daily protocol of Ana Lama Dake is the most profound, and perhaps the most necessary for the modern mind. It is called the Gate of Certainty, and it addresses the deepest wound that most people carry around the subject of provision, the fear that it will run out. This fear is not rational. It is not solved by more money, more savings, or more security in the material sense. Every human being who has ever tried to secure their peace through accumulation alone has discovered that the fear of lack does not disappear when the bank account grows. It simply relocates. It finds new forms. It attaches to health, to relationships, to time, because it is not a financial problem. It is a consciousness problem, and Jesus named the solution with extraordinary precision in Ana Lama Dake. The bread of life is not a one-time supply. It is a living, continuous, self-renewing source. The Aramaic word ke, meaning life in its most expansive sense, carries within it the quality of what is alive. And what is alive does not remain static. It grows. It regenerates. It fills what is empty. The practice of the Gate of Certainty is simple but requires consistency. Each evening, before sleep, place your hand over your chest and speak Ana Lama Dake once, slowly, with full breath. Then remain in silence for 30 seconds. In that silence, you are not waiting for a feeling. You are allowing a truth to settle, that the source declared by Jesus does not close at night. It does not rest. It does not exhaust itself. And because you have declared it as your conscious reality, the provision that belongs to you continues to move, even while you sleep. This is the certainty that Jesus pointed to. Not a hope, not a wish, a declaration. The 3 gates: decision, revelation, certainty, form a complete daily cycle. Morning opens the channel. Moments of choice direct the flow. Evening seals the connection. And the word that holds them all together is the same word Jesus spoke first over the subject that every human being on earth shares: provision, the living bread. Anana el aha'ama kaha'a. The first key has been given 7 declarations, 7 dimensions of human life, 7 Aramaic frequencies spoken by Jesus, each one a gateway into a reality that most people never enter, not because it is forbidden, but because it was never clearly shown to them. Ana Lama Dake, Ayin the bread of life, is not a theological statement from a distant scripture. It is a living declaration, spoken in the ancient tongue of Jesus, carrying within its syllables the vibration of provision, of reunion, of the sacred joining between what you need and what the divine source has already prepared. You have learned today that the Aramaic root of Lahma goes deeper than bread. It speaks of the principle of sacred unity, the force that reconnects what separation has pulled apart. You have received the 3 gates of provision, the gate of decision, the gate of revelation, and the gate of certainty. 3 precise moments in your daily life where this declaration can be activated, not as a religious formula, but as a conscious alignment with the source that Jesus identified. The next 6 declarations in this series will take you deeper. Each one addresses a different area of human experience, from clarity of mind to the healing of broken relationships to the unlocking of purpose and spiritual authority. But none of them will be received with full power if the foundation is not set. And the foundation, the first gate, The first declaration is provision, because a person who does not believe that their needs will be met cannot move freely into their calling. Jesus knew this, which is why he began here, which is why this series begins here. Speak it na Lahma dake today, speak it tomorrow. Speak it at each of the 3 gates, and allow the oldest declaration of provision ever spoken to begin doing what it was always designed to do. Restore what was separated, renew what was exhausted, and return to you the abundance that was never meant to be withheld. Visit Divine Light Academy at the link below to access my guides and start your journey into the living language of the Masters. But before you go, I want to hear from you. What did you feel during this session? Comment the word awakening below if you felt a shift in your energy today. We read every response, and your testimony strengthens this entire community of light. Right now, before you close this video, come to the comments and tell us, what did you feel? What shifted? We read every single response. And if this teaching found you today, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we go deeper into the ancient frequency codes that were always meant to be yours. We are just scratching the surface of this ancient power. Get ready, because in our next video, I will reveal even deeper Aramaic codes that unlock spiritual authority you've never imagined. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss this unfolding revelation.